Well, hey, it's a holiday weekend. You're going to have a little more hang time than you normally do. And I've decided to take just a little bit more time to talk to you in today's post. And since this is a video post, I want each part of this conversation today to begin with the letter P to kind of lead you along the way through some thought process that's going on in these days. The first P that I want to talk about is patience. Patience. I want us to look back over our shoulders for just a moment, think about last Sunday in our message. We talked about being together in patience, forbearing and bearing with one another. And in that message, I focused most of my comments on the challenge to try to get along with others in your family, your job, your friendships. But today I really want to begin to talk to us and about the need for us as a church to really demonstrate patience. Now believe me, I am well aware that we are all frustrated and tired of the interruption and the continued distraction of COVID-19. It is July 2020. Half of this year has now passed, and we can't get 19 off of our backs, or maybe the better way to say it is out of our faces, right? Like you, I'm really tired of all this. I want to get beyond it, and I'm ready to reclaim many aspects of life as I once knew it. But I feel I keep running in place and I can't make the progress I want in these days. And frankly, I'm just frustrated a lot of days. And I know you are too. For most of us, the biggest struggle is not being able to get back to our routines and having to continue to hear and heed warnings of new regulations and steps of mediation. I'm there, I'm with you, I know. But I'm also here, and we're going to navigate this together, Warren. No single source of data, either in my conversation with key medical experts and leaders or in the articles and studies that I've read and reviewed, provides clear and consistent direction for these days. In all that we have done and we are doing, change and tentativeness has become the norm, I should say. COVID-19 is a long lesson in inconvenience. And the reason we can't skip over or shortcut our journey is because we have people in different risk categories that must be considered in every move we make and every step we take along the way. We have steps of action that must be followed to make the most of caring for one another and loving our neighbors as ourselves. Warren family, I want us to be patient with this experience and with each other. I have nearly 40 years of experience in pastoral ministry, but I can tell you I've never faced anything exactly like this. But having said that, I have often observed in many other contexts in leadership, those who out of fear or frustration have taken unwise or unwarranted action only to regret the consequence. And so to this end, I need you to be patient with me, even as I seek to patiently and progressively coordinate our next steps of action. So that brings me to the second word, planning. Patience, planning. Yes, we are making plans. Our current plan is to continue through July with outdoor worship under tents in Augusta and Grovetown each Sunday morning at 8 and 10:30 a.m. Our life groups will continue with Zoom classes or weekday meetings around our campus or at locations of their choosing off campus. We're hosting day and night Bible studies for ladies, college students, young professionals, student gatherings, and family fun days for kids, all in outdoor locations. And I am glad to announce that we're going to increase the days and opportunity of family fun days and play dates over the next few weeks. We will continue our online platforms of distribution of the message and worship each week, along with our weekly broadcast delivered through WRDW to everyone in our community. And this is important for those who are at higher risk or have pre-existing concerns that will require them to abstain from gatherings for a longer period of time. And even for those who simply feel this is their best place and their best experience. And let me remind you that we are operating our sports and fitness ministry, certainly with the highest level of precautions, and we have upcoming sports camps planned for kids the week of July 13 through 16. Having said this, the next step on the horizon is to add indoor worship gatherings in early August, coinciding with the return of school. This past week, the American Academy of Pediatrics affirmed the need and endorsed this decision to reopen schools. While this is not without risk and no one knows the full potential of the outcome, it has happened in other countries, and given the lower risk concerns of children, this appears to be a needed and an acceptable step in these days. Our plan at that time will be to include the addition of an indoor worship gathering at 8:30, concurrent with our outdoor worship, and we will, in the worship center, provide for our mature adult congregation, allowing them close access and parking and first access to the building each week when we gather. We further hope to include a 10 a.m. and an 11:30 hour of worship, but these will be worship-only gatherings. We have staggered our times to provide opportunity for necessary wiping of the pews and cleaning of common surfaces for the next group who will come and gather. And in many ways, like going to a movie theater, we will need you to come and then to clear out for those who will be coming in for the next hour. We need you to be sure that you don't have extended times of congregating in hallways or in entries. Each of these services will require masks and specific directives for seating, entry, and exiting of the building. We also have a plan to offer childcare for preschool by reservation at each hour, utilizing the best of practices, and we hope to be able to offer a special worship experience for our children to coincide with the gatherings of adults in the worship center. And then should a family want to be together in worship, they can either do so by reservation in the worship center, or we will provide a limited open seating in Simmons Hall for those with children who may struggle during the worship experience but want to be together and to sit together. We will continue to do this along, we hope, with outdoor worship for a period of time in August. One other aspect of our plan is to begin to make classrooms, indoor classrooms available in the building throughout the week on a scheduled basis for those who in our groups want to come and gather together. While we cannot offer childcare or kids programming at will for all, we can place small groups in large spaces and allow for some weekday meetings that would minimize risk factors and provide support for these gatherings. We have done this outside now for many weeks, and we believe that we can also begin to do it inside as long as we don't create too much crowding and we can provide the appropriate amount of care and sanitation around each of these gatherings. If you are interested, I want to encourage you to speak with your group leader to assist with planning. Now, having said this, I want you to listen to me carefully. I must take a moment and say we are sharing these plans as something that we have, quote, penciled in. You know, when you pencil in, you can erase it, right? This is not printed in ink. This is not the law of the Medes and the Persians, because all of this continues to change. I'm glad we have a bit more time to examine the outcome of summer travel and activities and to look at community concerns that we need to consider. I know, like you, I feel very eager for us to return, and we're working towards it for you and for those who can come and join with us in the days ahead. But we want you to be aware that each of these steps of action will always be put into motion with steps of caution and the utilization of wisdom. We are never going to throw caution to the wind or to be careless. Patience, planning, third P, prayer. I know, you know, we need to pray for one another, even as I would ask you to be praying for me and for our staff in these days. But when I talk to you about prayer, my particular call to prayer today is a call to prayer for our nation, for our president, our elected officials, local leadership, the sheriff's department, and other civil servants. In the book of 1 Timothy, chapter 2 and verse 1, Paul told Timothy that the greatest civic duty and responsibility of the church is to pray. Listen to what he said. He said, "First of all then, I urge that supplications, prayers, intercessions and thanksgiving be made for all people, for kings and those who are in high positions, that we may lead peaceful and quiet lives, godly and dignified in every way. This is good and it is pleasing in the sight of God our Savior, who desires all people to be saved and come to the knowledge of the truth. For there is one God, and there is one mediator between God and men, the man Jesus Christ, who gave Himself as a ransom for all, which is the testimony given at the proper time. That's our call. That's an instruction given to us. And we honor the authority of government by honoring the authority that is established and that has established government, and that is God. This weekend, we recognize the 244th birthday of our nation. But this year, I personally feel the need to focus the 4th is not so much on fireworks and cookouts, but maybe on tears and conviction. Old Glory is under attack. The nation for which it stands is now divided and a discouraged nation. And while there are still many corrections that must be made and voices that must be heard to ensure liberty and justice for all, I want you to know that I do still believe in American democracy, and I believe it to be the greatest experience in government in all of human history. As Andrew Walker, professor of ethics and apologetics at Southeastern Baptist Theological Seminary, has recently said, as Americans reckon more deeply with their history, do we A, repudiate the American experiment as inherently corrupt and irredeemable, or B, push for greater alignment with the Declaration's own ideals on human dignity and natural rights? And then he said, I choose B all day, every day. And to that I say, amen. We live in a community where many of you have either served or are presently serving in our military because of your commitment to and the defense of freedom. I want to say to you on behalf of our Warren Church family and the citizens of this congregation, thank you. And the flag that is sitting here on this table with me today is more than just a prop that I've brought. It's actually a gift that was delivered to my father's hospice room in the final days of his life. I was there on a Monday morning after having preached here and traveled to try to be with him again that week, when a group of veterans came in to honor and to offer appreciation for his years of service in the Navy. He was stationed at Pearl Harbor in the years following World War II. He never made much about his military service. He didn't have an extended service. But I do remember him keeping the uniform and looking at it and asking about it as a child. But that morning with those men touched me deeply. And then a few days later, I was touched again when they came back, not only having left this gift with him then, but to be there on the morning of his death to drape his body with an American flag as it was taken out of that facility and as we went forward toward the funeral. And as he left this world bearing an American flag, I was proud of my dad then and I'm proud of him today, but better yet, I am deeply grateful to be an American and to be a part of a family where I have been blessed with so many wonderful gifts and privileges. I'm proud to be American, not because we're a moral or a good people or better than any other people in the world, but in spite of our flaws, I do believe we have been uniquely blessed by God. And that not only America, but the church in America throughout these 244 years has been used to share the gospel of Christ and to spread that around the world. I'm also grateful that America has led the way in the cause against poverty, oppression, and injustice around the world and has offered generosity and sacrifice throughout our 240-year history. And so, for that reason, I am praying for America in these days. And I come back to where I started, patience, planning, and prayer. And I want to ask you to join me and to wait with me on the Lord in these days with patience, with planning, and with prayer. And then finally, I want to underscore one more time the 3 simple, vital steps for each of us in these days. First, wear a mask. Next, wash your hands. Then, watch your distance. Wear a mask, wash your hands, watch your distance. These simple lifestyle commitments can and will protect you and many more around you. So hang in there, Warren. Better days are coming. Let's not lose hope, and let's not lose heart. Thank you. Happy 4th.